Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name is Tyler Adolfo. I hope that you all are having a most wonderful day. In this video, I'm going to talk about what I believe were some early signs of my bipolar disorder. Now, I was ultimately diagnosed with bipolar disorder type 1 with psychotic features, and that was in October 2021 of my junior year of college. But just because I was diagnosed then, it doesn't mean I didn't exhibit behaviors in the past that may have been examples of bipolar disorder or early forms of what would become my bipolar disorder. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. So why don't we get right into it? And we'll be starting off with middle school. In middle school, depression was my face every single day. If there was a way to describe my face, the word you would use is depressed. I always walked around with an angry, droopy face. I wasn't happy with anything going on in my life. I was also severely bullied in middle school. And as a result of that depression and being bullied, I had extremely high absences throughout my middle school years. I would end up starting a prescription drug as a result called Celexa, as well as seeing a therapist and a psychiatrist. And when I started Celexa, things rapidly changed. And this is the theme of what we're going to be talking about today, is the drastic change between highs and lows from my middle school to high school years. And I want you to consider the question, was this abnormal or was it normal, right? Because it's normal for everybody to experience highs and lows, of course. But were these highs and lows of such a scale that they could qualify as bipolar disorder, as a switch between mania and depressive episodes? So I digress. I started Celexa in middle school, and I then became the polar opposite person. I became an energetic class clown. So my grades exponentially improved. My demeanor exponentially improved. I was no longer walking around with an angry face like this all the time. I didn't have that sad, depressed, droopy face. Celexa had completely transformed me. There's no other easy way to put that. Things changed getting into junior high school, though. I remember eventually stopping the Celexa, and it coincided with me stopping seeing my therapist. And I am not sure exactly why we stopped the medication, because it was working. But as you can imagine, as a result of ending the medication so abruptly, which had been so successful in helping me thrive, I now was kind of back at ground zero, where I was super depressed again, extremely anxious. And part of this was actually influenced by the fact that I had a medical condition at the time called hyperhidrosis. And hyperhidrosis is a sweating condition that causes you to sweat at abnormal rates compared to the average person, even for the most minimal of physical activity. And I didn't know it at the time that I had that condition. It would take me years to find this out. But it would cause me to oversweat and smell really bad. And so people would make comments saying that I don't shower, that, that I'm so poor that I don't even have running water to shower, that I smell like a funeral. But at least at a funeral, they put chemicals on the bodies to make it smell less bad. Comments along those lines, they were severely hurtful. And I had lots of depression and anxiety as a result of both that and stopping the medication Celexa. And at this moment in time, I was also switching schools a lot. I would switch between my hometown school and a high school that was in the city of my cousins, about an hour away. And so I ended up switching from Webster High School to Taunton High School, back to Webster High School, back to Taunton High School, and then finally back to Webster High School again. That's a lot of jumping around for somebody of such a young age. I was just in junior high. We're talking 7th and 8th grade here, and into early 9th grade. And these troubles followed me into high school. I continued to experience high chronic absence my freshman year of high school, so much so that I would have to repeat the ninth grade. And this is when I started to see a therapist again. And you're going to see another drastic switch here. I started Zoloft, which was a pill for social anxiety as well as depression. And as a result of starting Zoloft, my anxiety levels plummeted. My depression just seemed to dissipate completely out of the room. It was no longer part of the equation. And so Zoloft was incredibly successful. My sophomore year of high school, being on Zoloft, I was able to become president of my class. I had a perfect attendance, won numerous Student of the Month awards, was appointed to super team for mathematics, or nominated, I should say, rather. And it was just extraordinarily successful all the way around. I got straight A pluses in all high honors classes. And that was after starting Zoloft. But then something major happened during the summer of my, before my junior year of high school. And that is, I discovered an IQ test. And in this IQ test, it had information that was completely antithetical to how I felt about myself, that was completely antithetical to what other people had said about me. I had always perceived myself as a person of high intelligence, but this IQ test said the opposite. It said that I was a person in the superior low range of ability. And I have a video where I go into more depth on that and its immediate consequences on me. But what you should know for the sake of this video is that as a result of this IQ test, I ended up stopped taking my Zoloft and started feeling anxiety and depression again. And I stopped the Zoloft because I had read online that it can decrease your intelligence in the long run. So it was a very foolhardy decision of me, but it was one that I made that perhaps was in a mindset of a severe mental health condition that we know as bipolar disorder. I've had switches between what seems to be mania and what seems to be depressive episodes over and over again. And these are drastic shifts. These aren't your ordinary highs and lows that people experience on a daily basis. These are highs and lows that resulted in major lifestyle changes, of me switching schools, of me being in the school building or me being not in the school building every single day. So we're talking about drastic switches. I dropped out of high school, became a dropout for 2 years, and at my height, I became 284 pounds. But then out of nowhere, like a tick, I suddenly had the motivation to lose all the weight, and I was going to return to high school and graduate and be the first in my family to graduate high school. And I was going to do all these things and get into my dream college. I just had this sudden tick of energy. And I very quickly lost a lot of the weight. By the time I returned to high school, I was 170 pounds, but I was unmedicated. And so the start of my junior year, I actually ended up attempting suicide because I just felt so overwhelmed by the levels of depression and anxiety that I was feeling going into that school year. I couldn't interact with anybody, it seemed like. And I remember the hospital notes at the time, they described my symptoms as pressured speech, flight of ideas, and delusions. Now, these three things are all symptoms of mania in bipolar disorder. They're three of the most common symptoms. And I had that trio in the hospital notes for when I attempted suicide, the start of my junior year. I would ultimately be hospitalized and put back on Zoloft, and a similar thing happened. I then had unlimited energy again. I felt super energetic. I became the class clown. My grades exponentially improved. And then while being on the Zoloft, it seems like I developed some type of depression resistance, because even on Zoloft, my final 2 years of high school, I fell in and out of major depression episodes, followed by highly energetic episodes where I would be awake for days at a time, assiduously completing school assignments methodically one after the other. It became part of my modus operandi to become highly energized. Let's just put it that way. So I've had all these switches from the middle school years through the high school years. Were these early signs of my bipolar disorder? I suspect that they were. I'm not a psychiatrist, I can't definitively say so, but the behaviors I exhibited certainly mirror those that I experienced during my manic episode and the depressive episode that followed shortly thereafter. So that was it for today's video. I wanted to make this because, I had been thinking to myself about how I could have done things differently had I known about my diagnosis earlier, but that ultimately didn't turn out that way. And so that was kind of the point of this video, is to see how far back can I trace the signs of my bipolar disorder type 1. And I hope this video was helpful. Thank you all for watching. I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new. Take care, everybody. Peace out, y'all.